here we go. Episode 17 of the Hear Me Out podcast. I'm Eric.
Local Luke Cage.
Richard.
Wow. All right, Donnie. So let's jump into it today. Um, everybody good this week? Everybody, let's do a check in. Let's do a check in. Who wants to go first?
You should go first.
Mental, physical, and professional. Mental. I'm feeling like I'm right at about an eight or so. Physical. Been working out a little bit more. Been eating right. Dropped a good amount of weight so far, down about 6-7 pounds over the past few weeks. So feeling good there. Professional. Feeling pretty good. So physical, I'd say I'm right at about an 8 as well, and then professionally, stuff's right. It hasn't really moved, so I'm right at a 7. Not too high, not too low. Have some interesting prospects coming up in a couple of weeks, so we'll see. But I do have some allergy stuff going on right now, so popping cough drops.
They call that COVID.
Stuff like that. It's not COVID. not COVID. I'm completely vaxxed. Had both of my both shots or whatever, so I'm good. All right, who's next?
Check-in's like rehab, man. Jesus Christ, we gotta change this format. But let's go. We're gonna go 7.5, 8 all the way around. Life is good. Stay positive, and that'll be the outlook. Chew.
Man, I would say mental 5, physical 8, professional 5, 5.85.
Okay.
Do you want some of my Buddha things? I can tell you because your thoughts dictate your future and all this stuff. I could put you on, bro. Let me know.
No, man, I got a Bible. I'm good. I'm good.
Wait. So
are you gonna open it?
I'll get around to it.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to Mario's house tomorrow. You're gonna show me how to
open it.
How to open it.
So hold on, bro. So I heard 2 5s there. After you consistently being at 6 and 7s across the board. So what's changed with why these 5s where they are?
It's just been a long week, man. It's one of those weeks where it was a struggle to get through it, and somebody once told me that if you find yourself wishing time away, then really start to reevaluate things. Like, man, if I just want this week to get over, and that's kind of where I was this week. I'm like, man, I just want this week to get over. So honestly, most of that was due to kind of like my mindset and some professional things. So I want to be in a position where I look forward to every day. You know what I mean? Not wishing time away. So real talk.
I'm gonna send you some stuff because I know what you just said wasn't in the Bible. So I'm gonna send you something that's gonna work for you. I got you.
Matthew 3:18.
That was. I can't.
Is there a Matthew 3:18? I think there's a Matthew 3:18.
Wow, you playing with the Lord?
No, I actually I get into the word quite often, especially when I got 5s on the board. Real talk.
All right. Okay.
But send me some stuff because
it's not a religion. It's a lifestyle. It's a philosophy of living. It's not a religion. So you can still be your religion and just do the philosophies of life, where you just think about thoughts and being positive, the energy you attract, karma, all that good stuff. But I got you, bro.
Hey man, somebody asked me the other day what denomination I am or whatever. I said I don't know, man. What that mean? That I have 10, 5s, and 20s on me? What are you talking about? Like I'm wide open, it doesn't matter. Send it to me. I'll check it out.
You'll digest it, you'll compartmentalize and make it happen. But on a side note, I thought it was funny that religion is really like based off of where you live. Because had we been born in China, we would be a different religion.
Yeah,
maybe.
You know what I'm saying? You're born in the Middle East, you're going to tend to be this religion, right? We're born in the United States, so we tend to be a certain religion. A lot of it is really just based off of where you were born.
Well, even to take it past that, like I was born in South Florida, which is heavily Catholic for a lot of reasons, right? So I'm Catholic, but if you're born in South Georgia, most likely you're going to be Baptist. So it even gets
Southern
regionalized.
Baptists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Southern Baptist is that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
The
Shut
I'm
up.
gonna
No.
the
stop.
the
Let's
probably the
go.
least religious person on this podcast is still not playing with none of those things. I ain't playing with none of that.
You're
I'm gonna let y'all
Catholic.
have all of that.
I'm with the
Hmm.
C's.
Yeah, y'all keep playing. Keep playing.
I'm Catholic. I'm just saying. I
Uh-huh.
claim it.
I saw all of that. All that. Yeah, I'm gonna let you have it. Do what you do.
My joke
Yo,
that I tell
no, real
people
talk.
is, and what my joke? No, I don't say it's a joke, but people are like, do you read the Bible? And I go, no, because you remember that those bracelets, WWJD, what would Jesus do? And I go,
Hmm.
he wouldn't read the Bible because it was about him. So why you ask me if I read the Bible?
Oh,
I missed all that, but
I know.
I missed all that.
that's okay.
But
Watch the podcast, and you'll see it later.
I'm about to say in the last let's call it 10 years, man, I've been to Catholic churches, Baptist churches, Lutheran churches, Protestant, Methodist. It doesn't matter to me. I just go places where people are trying to come together and help each other out, and I listen. So, it doesn't matter to me what type of religion it is. So if you send me something that's heavily Buddhism, like I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna see what I could take from it. You send me something that's out of the Quran, I'm gonna read it, digest it, see what I could take from it. It's what I am. I'm thinking about starting my own religion actually.
You should do it
And
because
it's
most
gonna
of
be
those
a
things you talk about, like
combination.
now they're just speakers and they throw like a Bible verse in there somewhere that you got figured out, and the rest of the 43 minutes is really just spitting them just talking, and they throw a Bible verse in there to make it church, and they make him bank
It's gonna be a little sprinkle of Catholicism, a little sprinkle of Baptist, a little sprinkle of Lutheran, a little Muslim in there.
and
We'll put it
welcome
all together.
everybody, and you'll have a congregation. We'll talk.
Yeah.
And then you know what? In order, and instead of tithes, we'll take black coin.
It's gonna be called the Strigonian Faith.
Oh gosh,
I'll
Black
send you a
coin.
T-shirt. Sign up.
Pay us in black coin.
it's so much.
I'm gonna take your
It's
idea,
so
my idea. We're gonna take this, bro.
it's so much. Sometimes you
Park our
guys are
jet
so.
next to your boy Creflo.
Yo,
Mm.
love all, be all is what I'm about. All right, man.
All right, let's get
Sorry.
this party started.
Woo, woo! Hey, we off the rails already. We are off the rails already. All right. First topic though is Nina King. Donovan, you want to kick it off?
Who that? So shouts out to Nina King. She is the new athletic director at Duke University. Obviously, she's a female, and she is African American. And I think I don't know what she did within the university, but just what a great time for Duke University to they hired your boy as the back, and that was UNC, right? They hired the coach. Okay. So for Duke University to hire a black person and a female to become the athletic director, it's huge. So I'm looking forward to the things that she could do and whatever she needs in view of my help. I'm all aboard.
Well, she's been a assistant athletic director since 2009 or 2008. She's I think general counsel and a couple of other things. I mean, she's been a big deal. I think she's a undergrad. Her undergrad was at Notre Dame. Her JD, she got that from Tulane or whatever. So she did she did an internship at Nike. She's been on the staff over at the athletic staff over at Notre Dame or whatever. So, and to top it all off, she's only 42 years old. It's remarkable to see what she's done, how far she's come in such a quick time period, and the fact that she is a black woman that is leading one of the nation's premier athletic institutions is huge. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of Duke University for making that call. It's a big deal, and hopefully more and more institutions will take that and see what she does and go, hey, you know what? Women are capable of leading. If you're capable of leading a country, you're definitely capable of leading an athletic department or whatever. So there's been tons of women who lead corporations and countries. So leading an athletic department is not a huge departure or whatever. So thank goodness at least one university is making great decisions. B, you got anything?
Yeah, I guess I kind of looked at it through the same lens, but maybe a little different. Like when I read the story, I thought it was really great that Duke University uh, put her in such a prominent position. I think there's only a handful of female or even particularly black females in that position, and I think that's something we're going to see more of. But when I read the story, I was thinking, wow, this is great. I first thought in my head was another woman kind of broke a wall down or broke through the ceiling because in athletics, particularly, they look for a certain type of person to put in that role, and most often it's not a female. I follow all Miami sports teams, of course, and the Miami Marlins have a female general manager. And I think we're not too far away from seeing some professional female coaches one of the big sports leagues. So I think it's great being a father of three daughters. I think the world needs more strong women, and those strong women need more opportunities. So I think that's wonderful. I am going to correct you on something you just said about Duke having a prominent sports program. Duke has a prominent basketball team, but nonetheless, that gives her a great opportunity to build up the other programs into something of stature.
Duke's men lacrosse
Um,
is pretty phenomenal.
Oh, and that's what I was
and
going to
their
bring it up. So think about
and
this.
their soccer and their so I assumed that Brandon would make that kind of an assertion that Duke was not a top tier athletic school. So I decided to look up a little bit of those things. Um, Duke lacrosse is top tier.
Wonderful,
Swimming and diving is also top tier.
wonderful,
Soccer, both men's and women's, have been national champs more
wonderful.
recently than Miami. Uh, they also in football
All Title IX
have
sports that wouldn't
been
exist without funding from one of the big major sports. Real
ha-
facts.
like basketball, more national championships. Um, and then their football team has done surprisingly well in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
So yes, and even in track, they've done better than Miami. So yeah, I mean you can look across the board.
No, sir.
Not in football though.
Not in football. Run down Miami baseball. Run down Miami track and take a look at it. I mean, it's great. All those other sports you mentioned that wouldn't exist without funding from football and basketball and everything. So, I mean, that's wonderful. But those are what we call fringe
There,
sports.
Duke is so much better than Miami in basketball
Oh, hold on.
that
Let me listen. You forgot about their badminton. Duke was 2016 badminton champion of the world. So let's not leave them out.
and then you look at Duke's chess team. Duke's chess team's way
Shout
better.
out B Price. Can't you see this?
So
Who
yeah,
also did not go to Miami.
We from Miami.
you don't let him do that to you again, man. The man said he knew you weren't gonna be prepared, so he got his shit together to trump you.
He didn't trump me. He rolled out a bunch of Title IX sports that
Definitely.
wouldn't exist without funding
Oh
from
my
basketball and
gosh!
football.
I don't.
As someone
That is
as someone who is the father of three daughters, to bring up Title IX in a way that was derogatory makes me sad.
It's not
It makes me
derogatory.
sad, bro. Don't do
I
it.
wrote out the
Don't do
facts.
that.
I wrote out the facts.
They wouldn't be. They wouldn't be. They wouldn't be in existence because
I
if it
disagree with
wasn't
that.
for real sports. That's what you said.
I
That's
disagree with that. I
sad.
think they would be. It's just about like when you get into like rowing and maybe some gymnastics and something like that. I think
They're
those
real
would be.
sports, but not
But
at
I
the
don't think
collegiate level. They wouldn't be. They wouldn't exist, right?
that's disrespectful, man. You need to
It's
read
true
your
though.
Bible. That's all I'm gonna say. Go back, read your, open that damn Bible, man.
Next time I see you, I'm gonna bring you like a envelope opener or something like that to help you open that Bible up. I got you. Don't worry.
I read it often.
I mean, the front
You're not
cover.
you're not
It
retaining it,
just
are
says
you?
Bible
He's
on the front.
hey, he's not retaining it. He's reading it. He's not retaining it.
You want to call out some verses?
Oh yeah, you talking about when Swiss Beats went against Timbaland, when Escape went against SWV? Those
No,
verses?
not those
Oh,
verses.
Those,
okay.
good- those, there you go. Those are verses.
Those are
All
verses.
right, but seriously, um,
No, it's great. It's great. It's great. It's great what she's
it's
doing.
great that Nina
It's a
King
great
got that job.
opportunity. And like I said, the world needs more strong women to get opportunities like that. It's good that they're looking to put them in roles. Particularly, I mean, this isn't a role directly, I guess, not on the field, but she's going to have more influence in a position that she is now than being in a singular sport or whatnot. So yeah, being a GM at the professional level, I'm looking for the first women basketball coach to break through soon. That's
They
going to be
got those
awesome.
in the WNBA. They have female coaches.
I'm in the NBA because
They
traditionally that's not a wall
they
for them
already
for them to get a W.
they already have that too. Becky Hammond's
They
on.
do not have a head coach in the NBA. They do not. They have coaches,
You
but
did
not.
not
But they have
you did
coaches.
not say head coach.
They have female
You did
coaches
say
in
head
football
coach.
as well, but head coach.
Yeah, you didn't say head coach. You said coach.
Well, I meant head coach.
You didn't specify. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean
so
that's fine
this is
because
like the
Becky
best.
Hammond
Becky
Becky
is in San
Hammond
Antonio.
is at San Antonio. She's an assistant coach. She actually did serve as the first woman head coach during summer league for the NBA.
And
So that was the first.
I want to say she was on Team USA as a coach as well. I could be wrong about that, but I thought maybe she was on there as a coach or a trainer.
That's a possibility because I think Pop's the coach.
I
Yeah.
need this episode to just keep going because to see y'all two argue to not be me, I'm like, this is the shit right here. I'm loving it.
Well, we actually agreed right then. So, um,
I thought we all
but
agreed. I thought we all agreed that we were happy with Nina King getting the role and had an opportunity.
We were, but no, this is the banter of you guys back and forth about the small dumb stuff. It's like, okay, this
Oh,
is great. I'm
okay.
loving it.
The small stuff is the
I'm
big
gonna
stuff
watch this like
eventually.
20 times just so you know.
Yeah. Good job, Nina King. Awesome.
Yeah, big ups.
yeah, great job, Duke. All right. So something that's near and dear to Donovan's petty little heart. Kwame Brown. Get it.
My
Get it.
boy, Kwame
Get
Brown, he
it.
said, that man looked at him in the camera and said, I told y'all to stop playing with me. I told y'all to leave me alone. Somebody said, when a grown man tell you to leave him alone, you might want to leave him alone.
When he
Yo,
asked for the rules of engagement,
this dude right this dude's like, leave me alone. It's been 20 years. Like, y'all better leave me alone. And then he went out and he called out everybody. And
Wait, hold
everybody,
up, hold up, Donnie, hold up. Back up, frame it up for us. What's going on? Give us the frame for it first
I don't, I'm not a
before you dig
storyteller,
in.
but Kwame Brown, number one draft pick. Like, if they don't know the story, they need to go watch the story. The Kwame
In
Brown, number one draft pick from back in the day, drafted by, I think,
2001.
Washington, number one draft pick from South Carolina, also via Brunswick, Georgia, I believe.
Yep.
Um, uh, was deemed to be a bust. But then, he said, he wasn't necessarily a bust. He talked about how he just did a lot of talking about, he was drafted to be traded and he wasn't traded. And then he started talking about how basically he played with Kobe, he played with Michael, and he played with Gilbert Arenas. They're all putting up 30 shots a game. He's like, it was hard for me to get the ball. So, he's like, he had some years where he was close to a double double. He had some years where he was injured. He said, he played 12 or 13 years. So how am I bust playing 12 or 13 years? He made over $60 million. He talked about how Gilbert Arenas was hating on him. He was due up like a big contract and like 80 million. Somebody had just gotten like 60 million. He was due up like 80 million. and Gilbert Arenas was like, "Yo, sit him down because I can't get to the paint because he's hogging up the paint." So then his numbers went down and he couldn't get paid. So he called Matt Barnes, Becky with the good hair. He went after Gilbert Arenas. He's calling everybody fake gangsters, and Matt Barnes drove, according to Kanye, 90 miles to fight somebody, and you hear him talking about Kwame Brown. He's like, "Yeah, I never said anything about him. I don't know. I didn't say nothing about him. Like, I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry he had to come for me." I was like, "Yo, you really bitched out on this man," but it makes sense though because Kwame's dad is in jail for murder. He has four brothers in prison, so it's in his DNA. Y'all better leave that man alone.
Yeah, I looked at it as, man, like Kwame Brown actually says something. That like they said that everybody's always made these assumptions or declarations against him, but he said he was never asked, his point of reference or his point of view on why his career had the trajectory it did, which is a really good point, right? He made a point where he was saying that maybe MJ, because he wasn't happy with something, came at him and didn't give a 17-year-old the support. And you have the greatest basketball of all time, and you're 17 years old, and he's coming at you. It could shake his confidence, and really give him a rough start to his career. But to Diamond's point, he made like $63 million over the course of his career, stuck around for like 12 years. So it's easy to be the butt of jokes. It's easy for people behind a screen or a microphone not to say something directly to somebody and get away with it. But I really, man, I mean, it was funny. Actually, I just watched like a TikTok a few minutes ago, or maybe a half an hour ago. That was hilarious. Like the content just keeps coming from him, man. Like he's going after everybody. But all in all, I really don't like to see that type of anger. There is something bubbling underneath his surface. Looks like he's kept this all in for 20 years, and he's like, enough's enough. That's always a scary moment when you see people in that situation. Be careful how you talk to people because you never know what they're going through. I tell people that all the time. But yeah, so I hope what Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, I saw them come out with some statements. Steven Jackson was talking about his career and maybe if you'd been a better basketball player. How about just apologizing to that man for speaking out of turn? Say, you know what? You're right. I came at you wrong. My apologies. How about you come on the show? We'll talk. We'll hear it out. We'll do this the right way. That's being the bigger person there. That's addressing the situation. That's what I would like to see. But I'm sure that all security,
Yeah.
wherever they host that show, is saying if you see this man within 3 miles of this place, call the authorities. But
Yeah. So I guess the take that I have is I've seen a lot of Kwame Brown's content or whatever, and or at least clips of it or whatever. I haven't watched anything like fully all the way through. But what I'll say is I was just kind of shocked to hear him actually reply because he's been the butt of jokes for the better part of 20 years, and he's never said anything. I'd never even heard him speak before ever. So seeing how much he had to say recently within the last few days or whatever has been eye opening. Like I said, never heard him talk before, but what I will say is what I'm seeing from him is that he actually does have something to say, and what he's done is I think once people actually heard his voice, once they heard him say, "Oh well, this is who Kwame Brown is. This is what I think about things," or whatever. People actually like to hear him. They like what he's saying, and what he's doing is he's coming out with his own channel, producing his own
I'm here for it.
podcast, doing some of those things or whatever, and and at this point he's got to keep going because he already had his proverbial 15 minutes of fame when he got drafted or whatever, and he didn't show up from a basketball perspective at the level that people were hoping, much like Greg Oden or whatever. I mean, brittle knees Greg
Yeah,
Oden
that man
or
fought. He
whatever.
has
So
injuries.
so So you see, player after player, the kid out of Duke, whatever his name was, Jaleel Okafor. Um, he was supposed to be, a big deal, and he hadn't panned out. Same thing, Greg Oden or whatever. So you see a lot of those guys that don't pan out, and most of the time they end up being pretty quiet. Um, but this is one of those situations where he was like, "Hey, like enough is enough." But what I don't want people to do for in the case of Kwame Brown is I don't want people to go, well, his family has some kind of dysfunction or
That
whatever.
was wrong.
So I think Donnie kind of alluded to it. Hey, like you better watch out for him. I think what Kwame has done is he's really broken that cycle in his family because his family has had a good deal of dysfunction from all accounts. I don't
One young
I,
man.
I don't I don't know any of the details or whatever. I haven't
Yeah.
researched it at all. Um, but he does seem to be one of those people that has broken that cycle and is learning from the things that have gone on in his life, and he does not want to go down that path
So
or
definitely
whatever.
watch it.
So so
It's
I'm
it's
proud
it's
of him
like
for
an
that.
hour and 18 minutes. It's definitely worth the entire time. I watched it once, started watching it again. He addresses all that. He was like, if you've made it to the NBA, you're an elite athlete. You're not a bust. You're one of the best
Absolutely.
players in the world. So to call him a bust is a joke because he made it to a place where people didn't make it, and he was there for 12 years. So how is he a bust? So he talks about that. He also talks about how he grew up on free lunch. He bought his mom a house at 18 years old on a golf course. He was like at 14, his dad was in jail, brother was in prison. He literally had to go to work, and an old man that's 70 something years old was taking him to work. Was like, "I'll give you a ride, but you got to pay gas." So basically, at 14, he had to decide, was he going to be like his brothers that left his mom and they're in prison, or was he going to be around to kind of take care of her, be there for her, and be her child? So this is at 14 years old. He talks about he's got an action figure. He's like, man, I came from nothing. I came from not having a pair of shoes, having to play somebody for a pair of shoes,
Yeah.
to buy my mom a house at 18, to make it to league for 12, 13 years. He also talks about how back in the day, remember when Kobe first year, he didn't play. He came off the bench. He's like,
Yeah.
they came from an era where you had to earn your playing time. They didn't just roll out the ball and say, this is your team, go out there and score, shoot it 30 times. He was like, you had to earn and practice your time on the court. Something that he said was very eye opening was, imagine Apple dogging the next iPhone. He says, when they drafted me, Jordan dogged me. He said Jordan took my stock way down by dogging me. He's got small hands. He said another. He says I was their number one draft pick. They could have lifted me up, but instead of lifting me up, they put me down, and that made it hard for me to come out of that because it's Michael Jordan talking. Who's not gonna listen to him? He said so. People are out there putting this stuff out there. He said Kurt Rambis, he has small hands. He said Kurt Rambis, like, let me see your hands. He says his hands was bigger than Kurt Rambis's. He said, but Michael Jordan's hands are huge. So in reference to Michael Jordan's hands, yes, he's got small hands. You know what I'm saying? But he was like, that stuff was put out there, but no one's ever really doing the research of it. But you don't dog something that you're supposed to be uplifting, like your number one draft pick.
Well, Michael Jordan, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player of all time, but cannot recognize basketball talent to save his life. I believe I'm as good of a GM at the professional level as Michael Jordan. So the fact that he didn't support Kwame Brown or see whatever type of
He didn't
ability or
want Kwame. He
whatnot,
wanted Elton Brand. He drafted Kwame so he can get Elton Brand, and that trade didn't go through. So he
yeah,
was kind of quote unquote stuck with Elton, and then some other stuff happened from that. So he was mad that he didn't get Elton Brand because he was supposed to bring like that to the Elton Brand was dominating back then when he was with the Clippers. So he's supposed to link up with him to kind of make his last years in Washington great, which they weren't. So he was kind of salty about that. So there's a whole lot of stuff that kind of the background about kind of how his career got started, basically railroad from the beginning. So you're looking at a person like LeBron, they're gonna roll out the ball, go play. This is your team, go score. If you mess up, it's okay. Like whereas other people were dogging him out. He played with Michael, Gilbert Arenas, and Kobe. That man he wasn't getting no shots,
I don't
and Larry
I
Hughes.
don't
Larry had game.
I don't know so excuse me. So um, everybody's dealt, you know, cards for their life or whatever. And when I look at Kwame Brown, he's had apparently a pretty rough life growing up, albeit for about 16, 17 years maybe of his
The
life.
formative years.
Those are the ones.
And
Those are the.
then,
The
Those are
formative
some of the
years.
huh?
most important ones.
Right. I mean, but he's had more life after that than he did
Nah, I go to
before
therapy
that,
for the shit
though,
that dealt with my
or
childhood,
whatever.
just so you know.
So,
That
What was
shit's
that, D?
relevant.
so over. You're not getting my point. You're not even letting me get to my point. You're stopping me
Yeah,
before I
sure.
even get to the point, or whatever. So my point is, he's over 40. He's over 40 years old. He's had more good years of his life than he's had bad years of his life so far. And right now he's at a crossroads of whether or not he wants to turn it bad, or start turning it back towards the bad things. I think that what he's trying to do right now is get all of the pressure and everything that's been put on him. He's trying to get it off of him. He's trying to make sure that people know, hey, like, here's my story. Let me tell my story, or whatever. And he's getting that out, and that is I think that's therapeutic for him, and that's a beautiful thing for him. I also think that he can turn what felt like kind of a sour patch in his life, with him not necessarily being a as productive as they wanted him to be. Maybe not a bust in life, but he wasn't as productive as that particular first pick, because he was the number one pick in the draft or whatever in 2001. So he wasn't as productive as other number ones who actually flourished or whatever. So I think that what he's doing now is good to, hey, get it out, let everybody know, because it's very much like what JaVale McGee did with Shaq, because Shaq was dogging him the whole time, just kept dogging him, and JaVale McGee has carved out a really good career for himself. He's a multiple time champion. I don't know how many championships he's got or whatever. But he has been a solid player in the NBA, and that's a
He's number
beautiful
one in
thing
Shaq
or
and the
whatever.
GOAT. I
So
think it's you're assuming that Kwame's had better years in his life.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know him. I don't.
Yeah, so
I
you
was, I
got to
was
think
about
if
to
he
say
if he
that.
had 12, 13 years of NBA where they were dogging
I'm
him,
I'm
plus
I'm
the 15 years, 17 years of his childhood, you know what I'm saying? That's more than half his life that wasn't good. But if you also have those childhood,
I'm basing it off of I'm basing it off of at 18, you were given you earned the number one pick in the draft, and ever since then, you have had tons of money at your
money
disposal,
does not equal happiness and well-being. It doesn't equal
and
happiness.
it does. It doesn't equal happiness, but it puts an amazing down payment
I
on it,
disagree
I
with
like
tell
an
that.
you
I
what,
totally
amazing
disagree
down
with that.
and
as someone who's had a little bit of money, um,
It
it
helps,
helps.
as
It
they
don't
say, it
hurt.
helps you. It helped you.
yeah.
I don't know who are they?
I
Who
said
Well,
say
that
that?
the money helped you. You're assuming that money is a down payment and it's good for everybody. It's good for you in
That
your
is exact.
situation, but you can't speak on that for that man.
I said I'm
It's all
making an
good.
assumption that the money helped. I don't think that the money
I don't
hurt him.
know. I don't know Kwame Brown, but first of all, so he was a number one draft pick, and he didn't live up to what people thought the expectations should be. So I tell people, first of all, well, he didn't ask to go number one. If somebody drafted him number one, and if he wasn't, his talent wasn't up to that level, then what is he supposed to say? No, I'm really like a number 20 or a second round draft pick. So don't be mad at him. I don't like the term bust necessarily. He went number one. The man made $63 million as a professional athlete. He's a winner. All right, he won. But
Multiple
also, when I
contracts.
what's that?
multiple contracts.
Yeah, yeah. So when I hear him speak in reference to what's going on with him now, does not sound like a man of happiness. He could be, I don't know, but there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger behind that. So I'm not willing to say what is his good years, whatever his bad years. All I know is there's other ways he could have handled it. He handled it this way. It's probably been building up. It's fine, but yeah, I don't necessarily think money leads to happiness. There's a lot of people with wealth that are miserable. I'm not saying he is, but he's probably better off than if he didn't have that 63 million, for sure. But he doesn't necessarily seem like right now. It seems like he's either gone through stuff or is going through stuff. But he's letting people know don't talk about me without talking to me, and I respect that.
Yeah, because basically what he was saying was like they're going around trying to be pretend gangsters. Gilbert Arenas bringing guns to the game. He's like, and Gilbert Arenas has said he's never gotten in trouble for anything that he's ever done. No one has ever punished him. So he's
Yeah,
running around just being who he is, doing what he wants without any kind of discipline or anything like that, right? So, Kwame's like, yo, he's a child. Like he's bringing these childish things into the arena. He's not grown up as a man. He's out there, tricking off money for these girls, doing X, Y, and Z. He just really talked about, you talking about you're a gangster. He's like, you make $10 million a year, but you want to be a gangster. He's like, but you're not good in the
beautiful.
streets. You're not good in the streets. But you got to, you walk around with something in your back pocket, but you can't go in the streets. You could do it in that nightclub in that VIP section, but you're not real. And so that's kind of what he was saying. He's like, they're being fake gangsters, and they keep talking about me. He says, but notice Gilbert Arenas said, he said, I don't want nothing to do with that man. That
Yeah,
man beat up 20 security guards at one time. So I think it's to the point where he's like, y'all are trying to be fake gangsters, and you're using me as a stomping ground, and I'm over that. And then he talked about why are they putting him down as a black man with a nice podcast? Why are they putting him down? Why are they not telling black athletes how to go to college and get scholarships and how to do X, Y, and Z when we could be uplifting? And so he's like, they're putting them out there for a reason because they're tearing down black people and other blacks by talking about them and not lifting them up when they could use their platform to do something good for the black community. So you really should watch it because it's kind of insightful.
yeah. I'm going to say I can't stand fake tough guys. Like
And
like
that's what
like
he was talking about.
I'm all for people calling out fake tough guys. They're all around, man. I'm talking about. I'm not even going to get into my experience with fake tough guys, but yeah. So,
So yeah, so
but
it was cool.
yeah,
It's
find
worth the hour.
find peace, Mr. Brown. That's what I'm gonna say. Best of luck to you. And Becky with the good hair. I ain't rolling with you either.
Wow. The so allergies are
Looks like we're doing
killing
this
me.
virtual for a few more months to Eric get through that call. It looks like to me.
Sure, yes, sir.
I got a doctor's appointment. I got a doctor's appointment on Monday. Um, yeah. So let's transition from Kwame Brown to one Mister
Lebron. Let's
LeBron
talk about
James.
Lebron for a minute, right? Let me just preface this by saying LeBron James. I was fortunate enough to be around him at two different parties when he was with Miami. When that man walks into the room, his smile and his energy is radiant, and he's like talking to everybody. He's a great man, right? His energy is great. Um, he's got his wife
Where,
by him.
where's
No,
this
I'm
going?
just like people think I
Where's this
hate
going?
on him, but I don't hate on him because I think he's a good man. Like I said, like I've seen like he walks into the room smiling and it's like, he's this larger than life personality. That being said, whew,
LeBron, I got some stuff to tell you. You won't
see,
believe what's
LeBron
going
pays your
down.
rent. That's how I do. So yo, check this out. No, no, he's a great man. I don't hate on him at all. What I look at is he has the greatest marketing team ever, right? Now we grew up watching Dominique Wilkins, the human highlight film, 360 dunks, windmills, turns around the whole nine, right? LeBron James takes the ball, he places it over his head, he dunks it. and people lose their fucking mind over that. Right? I watched the highlight. I googled it. I was on YouTube, and I was like, LeBron's dunks from the Lakers last 2 years. There's one dunk where he actually does this, and he dunks it. The rest of them are either alley oops or just like a dunk. But yet we're like, oh my god, this is magnificent. And so what I'm saying is, the stuff is he is elevated. He's never won a dunk contest. He's not the best dribbler. He's not the best scorer. He's not the best champion. He's not the best at anything. But yet he's been dumped as the greatest player ever. So he has the best marketing team around him to have that. And that's kind of what the Kwame Brown was talking about. Like, people are putting stuff out there that they want you to believe, and then you start believing it without kind of knowing it. LeBron's not a great shooter. He's got decent handles, and he's a good passer. He's not the best dunker. So I don't know. Let's talk about him. He's a great man.
Well, I will go on to say this. He'll end up being the all-time scorer in NBA history, which is pretty astounding. As a,
Sitting out all them games with that hurt, with that high knee, with that high sprain, sitting out all them games.
I mean, the man's 36 years old, going on 37 years old. Like, you know what I mean?
Do you think so? So, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm not sorry to interrupt. My point is, like, he's going after that. But you think, like, back in the day, remember, Jordan didn't even play the fourth quarter, right? You had to think people like Jordan went to college for 3 years. Jordan sat out basketball for literally 2 years to go play baseball, right? Back in that day, wasn't nobody really trying for stats. They made stats. It was points per games, but nobody was going after those things. It wasn't like something that somebody wanted, right? You got to understand, nowadays we're a stat driven society. There's a stat that LeBron James he's the only player in NBA history to ride his bicycle to a game in the NBA Finals while his wife was pregnant with a girl. That's the type of shit people make up for stats nowadays. There's a stat for everything. So will he be the
So
great? Will he be a scorer? How you gonna be the greatest scorer, but you ain't got but one scoring title?
what I would say is, scoring buckets, being a leading scorer in the NBA has always been a stat that people have gone for. Like that's the thing, right? Like
You
the
think
scoring
so?
title is our literally David Robinson put up 70 points one playoff game just to win the scoring title over Shaquille O'Neal. But
To win
before
the
we
scoring title,
but let me put this in context. Who's a better basketball player, Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan, Donovan?
Magic Johnson.
Exactly, and that gives everybody watching this a context of of who's speaking and what he's speaking about right there. Magic is great, but he anybody who flinches and doesn't say Michael Jordan right away, like just put that in perspective, right? But yeah, he's going to be the
Jordan
all
was never a
time.
Laker. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's going to LeBron's a Laker. He's going to be the all
No,
time.
no, he ain't no real Laker. Don't you do that. He's not a
He's
real Laker. Don't
he
you do
won a
that.
title.
In the bubble, get the in the bubble.
that might have
Come
been
on,
more
man.
difficult to do than any other situation.
No, there's absolutely not. Absolutely not. No on the road. No going to Miami. No going to Portland. No going to Utah. And I'm a Lakers fan. Think about this. In
Are
what
you?
world? Yes, hands down. And I'm a LeBron hater. In what world
He just
would
said
you
he
would
doesn't
your
hate the
hold
man.
on, bro?
Well, we didn't make it a full 3 minutes.
In, in what world would your starting center and starting guard go out in NBA Finals and you're expected to win? And they still took it to what, 5 games, 6 games? Bam went out for 2 games, and your starting point guard is out for the entire series,
It
and
took
they went
more
to 5 or 6 games.
focus and more discipline to win in those conditions than in normal situations.
Boy, stop!
Athlete,
You don't got no groupies. You ain't got no traveling. Groupies is the thing right there. That's gonna knock you out. They're gonna come to Atlanta. They're gonna go to Magic City, and that's how we gonna win 2 games.
is going to knock you out. It's not going to knock me out. So here's the thing: athletes are creatures of habits, right? They do things. They have strict regimens, and in the bubble, all that was broken down. That's why you saw a lot of those teams fall off because they weren't disciplined. They didn't have focus. I think it was a tougher. I mean, it's my opinion, but I think it was tougher to win it in that situation than others. But he's going to end up being an all-time scorer in NBA history, and he's not really known as a scorer. He's more. I do think he's more Magic than Michael personally. He'll be up there in assists. He'll be up there in rebounds. He's actually, and this is not a term that I came up with, he is the greatest Swiss Army knife in NBA history. He does so many things. Whatever you need him to do is what he's going to do. Last year, he led the NBA in assists, right? Before
Who
he
cares? Who cares? Who
that's
cares?
crazy. At
Who
35 years
cares?
old.
Who's cares? No, 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 no. And the thing about, and that's why I say the greatest marketer, right? Hold on. The thing is, he's the greatest marketer because when LeBron leads in assists, it's a big deal. He should win MVP. Who's leading in assists this year? Who led 2 years ago? Who led 3 years ago? Nobody gives a shit. But they care when it's
I could
LeBron.
probably
Oh,
tell
it's
you.
LeBron doing it. Let's do it.
I can tell you who the leaders are. I can't tell you who's the leader, but I can tell you the leaders are for the last few years. If you want to go down that game,
Yeah,
maybe
I
put
want to know.
some
Tell me
names.
who the leaders for assists are the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years.
I mean, I know who the leaders are, not who
Wait a
led, but I
minute.
can tell you
Wait a
the leaders.
minute.
Like this year,
No, no,
I
no.
know.
The leader, the number one, the number one.
I don't know.
Because when
This year,
LeBron was number one, it was relevant enough for him to be MVP. But why are we not talking about the person that's the assist leader this year for being MVP? Why are we not having that
because
conversation?
the person who led the league in assists was a 35-year-old, 6'8", 240-pound Ford. That's why.
Throwing. Oh my
That
God,
doesn't
I'm not
happen.
even.
That doesn't
So
happen.
that has you tell me that has to do with it? It's
It,
not. It's not that you.
it would be like
Oh man.
Karl Malone or Tim Duncan leading the league in assists. Like
Okay,
that, it doesn't happen.
but their point. Okay,
Exactly. They're point guards.
no, LeBron's a point guard. LeBron's a point
So
guard. LeBron has the ball in his hand 85% of the time. What are you talking about?
Sounds like a Swiss Army knife to me. What do you
Sounds like
need?
a point guard.
so so would he Brandon, you're saying that LeBron is the greatest Swiss Army knife
He's one
the
of them.
league's ever seen. Would you? Where does Russell Westbrook fit? Because I mean, 3 straight years of averaging a triple double or whatever. It, no one ever thought that Oscar Robinson's record would ever be broken, and and Brody is rewriting the history books daily.
So
So what do we think
I
about
think
that?
Russell Westbrook is legit my favorite player in the NBA because of his motor. While he is and actually, to be honest with you, if you were to ask me who are the top three athletes in the NBA, top athletes over the last 5 to 10 years, I probably only put him behind LeBron James. He's that athletic. Um, so yeah, he's up there, but he's not LeBron James. LeBron James has actually done it to the point to where he's taken teams to the title and won. But Westbrook is right there, man. He's up there. He's of that cut. He's not quite as big as LeBron, so he's not guarding power forwards or whatnot on a defensive end or doing whatnot. But yeah,
Neither is
he's up there,
LeBron.
man. I'm a Russell Westbrook fan for real.
So the Swiss Army knife, he's got like 3 times more triple doubles than LeBron.
LeBron's pretty high on triple doubles.
That's not my point. My point is he has 3 times as many more triple doubles as LeBron. So we're talking about Swiss Army knife. That title goes to Westbrook. But take LeBron off of that.
No, I don't think so.
And then you look at then you got to look at somebody like James Harden also or whatever. I mean, though Harden's not won
Only
at
one of
the
those
at the
players has
level in
led
the
teams to
in
a
the playoffs.
championship.
But we're talking about so we're talking about like LeBron goes to the finals.
Absolutely.
In what world did we start recognizing losers? Like when did
Dude,
is Chip
he's
Kelly
won
like one
four
of the best quarterbacks
championships.
ever?
He's won
Well,
four
well, hold on.
championships.
Let's talk about Jerry West. Let's talk about Elgin Baylor. Are they the greatest players ever? They
They
got more.
haven't won four championships.
They went to the finals more than LeBron.
You said winning.
I didn't say winning.
Yeah, you
He's
did. You're
well,
making a point towards winning.
when you when when you look at the players that are in the conversation of the goat.
Gotta have titles.
He's the only one that's got a losing record in the final. LeBron's the only one that's got a losing record in
LeBron
the
is linked
finals,
with.
and
He
I
is
mean,
linked with.
and it's an astoundingly low. He's 30. He's got a 36% win
So are we
percentage in the
starting your
finals
careers once you
or
get to the
whatever.
NBA, or are
Whereas
we starting it? Are we counting all the losses and first round exits and stuff like that of people that didn't make it until they got to the championship? Because
no,
LeBron
we're just
dragged a
talking
lot of
about being
teams
in
that
the
would not
final.
have been in the championship if he wasn't on there. Now I don't know. I really don't know too many
Who you
teams
mean
that
with
could have
Kevin
did
Love,
They
that.
didn't.
Kyrie Irving, Tristan Thompson, or with Andrew Davis or whatever his name, Anthony Davis, whoever else is on that team? You mean those guys? You talking about
No,
those guys?
I'm
You talking
talking
about
about the
Dwayne Wade and Chris
first.
Bosh?
I'm talking about the first 7 to 8 years in Cleveland. Who
He
did he
balled.
have?
Yeah, but he didn't have nobody.
And how many championships did he go to during that time?
None. One.
Wrong.
I'm very
Wrong.
right about that. I'm very right about that.
Went to
No,
multiple
he did not.
championships.
No, he
Yes, he
did not.
did.
He went to one and he didn't win, and he went to Miami. He did not go to multiple finals. That is not true, my friend.
He drugged those teams. Boobie Gibson, Zogauskas was his best player that he had on those teams in Cleveland.
I'm not knocking that, right? So here's what I'm talking about marketing, right? He has gone and played with some of the best players in the NBA
Who
during their
hasn't?
time. Hold
Who
on, we're
hasn't as a
talking
champion?
what, huh?
Who hasn't? Who was on a Jordan's team? Who was on those Celtics
So
teams?
hold on.
Yeah.
He's gone to those things. Again, we're talking about LeBron James being one of the best marketers, and that's what I'm talking about. He's gone to play with these people to win these championships, and he's gone from team to team. He's gone from huge markets with Miami and LA to win championships. He went to LA, got rid of that whole roster, brought in a new roster to fit up around him to win. He is not like this player. Jordan was there and he won and he built. Magic won and built with people that were drafted. That is true. James Worthy, all of them, they were drafted by Lakers. LeBron, here's your stat right here. LeBron, John Sally, and Robert Ory are the only people to have 4 championships with 3 different teams. That's the category
So
he's in.
because he was drafted by a bad team, we're holding that against him.
All was Magic not drafted by a bad team?
A team that had Kareem and Norm Nixon on the team.
I don't know how to get them one draft pick or number two
Yeah,
draft pick.
no,
How did they get that draft pick?
he was not drafted by a bad team.
How do you get that draft
They
pick?
literally went
How
to
do
the
you get the draft
championship
pick?
the
How do you
first
get the
year.
draft pick?
I
You
don't know.
can't get in the
I tell you
lottery
what,
unless you're a bad team, Brandon.
that's not true. You can get
That
draft
is
picks
true.
through trades.
You can't go not in the top 10.
Yes, you do.
Okay,
Yes, you do. You can't get draft picks through trades in the
that's not
top
true.
10.
It's not true.
So yes, Magic was not drafted by a bad team. Look up the Lakers record in 1977 before he was drafted. I think he was drafted in 78.
Okay, I will.
Look up the record.
Okay, and then
But
what?
see, you shouldn't have to because you're a Lakers fan. But I'm
What's Miami's
wondering,
record
like,
in 1996? What was their record in 1996? What are you talking about?
whose record?
Miami. We can
Miami?
go.
You
We can
talking
go
about the
Miami
team? You talking
Hurricanes.
about
We
a
can
team
go
with Ronnie
Miami
Cyclist, and
Ducks.
Sherman Douglas, and Bimbo Coles? You talking about that? Name 3 people from 1977 Lakers.
You're talking about
And
names.
don't
Names.
name the 2 I just gave you. Exactly.
We're gonna compare. We're gonna compare 20 years ago to 30 to 40 years ago.
You threw
Get
out a
out
year
of
and I
here,
gave you 2
man. You're
players off the
tripping.
Heat.
You're funny. When you wear a collared shirt, you're funny, dude. Let me just tell you.
What was the record of the Lakers 1977 or the year before Magic came? Y'all thought you were looking it
Who,
up.
me?
The point is,
No,
Bill
I
Magic
wasn't.
was
I
not
wasn't looking
drafted
that up.
by
I'm looking at.
Magic. Literally played with Hall of Famers coming into the league. I'm pretty sure LeBron. Even as a more fact, the minute LeBron left the Cleveland, they went into the toilet. Like the next season, same team in the toilet. He made
Not
those
the same
teams,
team.
man.
Not the same team. Not the same team, my friend.
Oh yeah,
But
they got Kyrie Irving,
we're
who
talking
won
about
an astounding
LeBron.
15 games.
So the agenda item is LeBron and marketing, right? And so I'm just saying he's done a really good job of marketing himself. He shoots like 75% on the free throw line. That's how you know he's not a good shooter. How the hell can you be one of the best players in the NBA and shooting is fundamental and you shoot 75%? Come on, man. Come on.
He is without a doubt, if not a top 3, a top 5, and I really think he's more a top 2 player in NBA history.
Have you watched him play?
I watch him play all the time. I'm a Heat fan. He played 4 seasons with the Heat.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess all those turnaround jumpers to pull up, all those game winning shots. I mean, he's that guy. All those spectacular dunks he does, he is that guy. I've seen him play. All those flops, I mean, he's great. He's really great, man.
He's LeBron is second in the last 25 years, behind only Kobe Bryant in winning shots at kind of at the buzzer. Kobe's got 101.
Yeah,
LeBron had
that's not a
97.
relevant stat.
You just brought it up.
I did, but it's not a relevant stat. I
Garbage.
did. No,
Garbage.
it's not garbage. I think that's offensive. It's not a relevant stat, right? Because you got to think about it's like saying Matt Ryan has a better he's the comeback kid, right? But Tom Brady's got more Super Bowl rings because his teams are not in a position to come back, right? But anywho,
Educated football fan would says he has great stats because he's always behind. It's what an educated football fan would tell you.
Why are you always behind? Is that the goal?
Because the Falcons suck.
So yeah. All right, that's all I got, yo.
Yeah. All right. So this was spirited, interesting. Um, I'm gonna say like, subscribe, comment. Again, don't call me, don't text me in our personal DMs and things like that. Just comment on YouTube, please. Thank you, Brandon Donovan.
I'll tell
Say
you
what
that
you
the
say.
Lakers finished fourth in the division in 1977. So yes, they were not trash.
Fourth out of how many teams during that time?
I know
Six.
they were a 45 win
Six.
team. They were a
Six.
45 win team.
How many teams though? Fourth place out of how many? Five?
They were a 45 win team.
Fourth place out of how many?
Man, I love the guy who's wrong and just never admit
That
it.
is you. That is you. No, I just asked a question. I could be wrong. I already looked it up. That's why I didn't say nothing. But fourth out of how many?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, there's probably been maybe since 1977, there's probably maybe
No. I
six
don't
or
want
eight
maybe. You
expansion
look that up.
teams.
Look that up too. I'm gonna look it up. But be
Look it
kind.
up.
Help others. Be kind. Help others make a difference.
Be well, live well. Oh, and also, going back to I want to shout out my middle daughter this week who is falling in love with softball, who's working her tail off, trying to make the local high school feeder team. Yeah, so big things coming from her. Big supporter of softball now. You know, I love it. So let's go.
Oh, episode 17 of the Hear Me Out podcast is in the books. Also, Justice Ari, the 23rd is a big day. I'm proud of
Hey,
both y'all.
oh, and
Love
by the
y'all.
way, Brandon, there were 5 teams in the West. That would be Portland, Phoenix, Seattle, Los Angeles, Golden State. That's your fourth seed. That's how they got in the draft lottery, my friend. They sucked that
No,
year,
they're a
and then they
45
won
win
and got
team.
back.
They had a winning record. D. They didn't get number one draft pick by having a winning record.
Are you
Think
serious
about
with that?
that. Yes,
Are you serious right now? Are you serious?
yes. You don't
Are you,
get
so
the.
so you're telling me so the Golden State was 43-19. They also made it. It's about where you place, dude. It's not about whether you. So the West has always been better than
Look at
you
the
know
worst
like
record of that year in the NBA,
I
and
don't know. It's
tell
a
me, it was the
draft.
Lakers?
It's a lottery system. The ping pong balls. You've seen it. It pops up. It's the luck of the draw.
We'll clear this up next episode, man. Once again, you went about 2 inches deep in your research. I'll clear it up for
Oh,
you. Don't worry
apparently
about
you
it.
don't even do research. You just be talking off the top of your head.
I
Well,
have
I
I
can
have a
say
good
it
amount of
can.
knowledge to start with, though.
Okay, Trump.
I think
Right.
that top button you
Wow.
tied on your shirt cutting off
Hey,
your oxygen is what I think.
okay,
You need to
Trump.
loosen it up some.
You're right.
I feel like I've been trying to wrap this thing up for the last 4 minutes, and we still arguing about this. So I'm gonna say wrap.
Wrap it up
Hear Me Out podcast, episode 17
in the
in the
books.
I'm Richard.
books.
I'm Richard.